Welcome.
Okay, we're going to go live. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'm just going to share the room again.
Hey, good morning, everybody. How's it going?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Association for Women in Communication, the South Florida chapter. It is our Monday Empower Yourself Monday, episode 22. It is our podcast that we're developing. And I'm going to go ahead and give the mic to Terry Michael, who is our vice president, and she's going to start us off with a breathing exercise.
Welcome, everyone. If you're standing, sitting, laying down, really doesn't matter. Just be still. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold. And exhale through your mouth. Inhale. And exhale through your mouth. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Relax your eyes. Relax your face. Relax your jaw. Relax your neck, your shoulders. Visualize the stress going down your arms, out through your fingertips. Relax your chest, torso. See it all relaxing. Relax your hips. Again, visualize the stress going down your legs, out through your toes. And you're completely relaxed. Allow whatever thoughts come in your mind that take away from this practice as clouds in the sky just going right by, going away. Gently breathing in and out through your nose. And in this relaxed state, take another deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. And as your eyes are closed, I'm going to read you little closing thoughts. Love is like a deep pool that never dries up. You have more to give than you realize. The only expectation you should have in giving to others is what you expect of yourself. That's how you stay replenished. Namaste. May the divine in me honor the divine in you. Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
Terry reminds me how to breathe. I love it. And Emily is here, our communication director. I'm going to give her the co-host feature. And,
hi, Emily.
How are you, Tonya? Hi, Terry. That was beautiful.
Hi, Emily. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Emily.
Good
Lovely to
morning.
meet you.
Oh, I'm so excited to speak to you today, too. I love starting Mondays this way.
So I want to
actually, it is Tuesday. Yeah.
How's my mic sound?
Right. That's true.
How's my mic sound, you guys? I'm having a problem with the microphone with my iPhone, but I'm gonna hop on my Android.
It
Just to-
sounds good, Tonya.
Yeah, we
It
can hear
sounds
you
better
well.
than the last couple of times.
Oh, okay. I deleted the whole app out of my phone. I got crazy. So full disclosure, Anna and I became friends on Twitter Spaces, and I have always been in awe with her, with everything that she does, and just being, I feel like, I wonder how she does it because she's a founder. I just discovered she's an author too, and she also is, a community leader. She helps a lot of people, and she's very much involved in the art scene, but also in and Web3. So I'm thrilled to have her as our communicator of the week and for her to share some of her stories. And so, Anna, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And I mean, you have an incredible bio, but I think I want to hear from you because a lot of it, when I was researching and I was looking at the different things you've done, I was like, wow, you're an incredible woman. But besides just empowerment, you help so many other people too. So good morning. How are you? And thank you for coming on.
Tonya, you're just as amazing, and I'm always inspired by you. So thank you for inviting me. Once again, nice to meet you, Emily and Terry. Terry, you've got a beautiful heart, by the way. Like all of that energy sharing, I just felt so much better. Even though it's
Thank
2
you.
a.m. in the morning, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. I'm probably going to go to sleep. But but no, I feel really, really good. I'm not entirely sure where to start. I, yeah. Okay, so like,
I mean, you
just on
want me
my,
to put your bio to you, and then this way we can go from there? Because I wrote it all out.
yeah,
Did
yeah,
it?
you can ask me questions. That'd be like so much easier, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so and she is as an abstract expressionist represented and exhibited in Europe and Australia. Anna Couper is a New Zealand and British citizen with an Italian residency. Um, she is she does MA International Law and Human Rights. She does philosophy, and my dogs are going crazy on Monday. New Zealand English, Brittany Norse accent. She published author of 2 books. She's an artist, ceramicist, a curator of WBG, and a mother of twins. She's a recipient of 3 Fulbright Hayes Award, recipient of Prime Minister's Award for International Trade. I would be in my studio, but I decided to stream in my studio instead. So, but let me continue. There's a long list of all the things she's done, but in the early 2020, Anna worked in Sicily, Italy with Danny Weiss Fashion House to do 3 commissions for his museum in France and his private residency. In 2019, she spent 6 months in Lucca, Tuscany, Italy, painting full-time for exhibitions in France, Italy, Amsterdam, and Luxembourg. So like exposition in 2020, Waikato Museum, Artspost, Hamilton, New Zealand, and March of 2020. I think I kind of like a short abbreviate everything I could find online and put it together. I hope that, and then my dogs, of course. Sorry about that, everyone. Of course, it's Monday, and we're this is raw streaming. So my dogs are so excited about the landscaper. But Anna, tell us a bit about that, and and also being like you were so busy traveling. I mean, I see you travel quite a bit, but then the pandemic happened. So, but before we even talk about that, let's talk a bit about some of your work and some of the things you're involved in. I mean, and I'd love to know more about some things you like, the peace and conflict that you do, the international law and human rights. I mean, some of the stuff that I didn't even realize you were involved in.
Yeah, well, I mean, peace and conflict in my studies at university were very focused on systems, political systems. I was always interested in human rights because I had a very varied childhood, which wasn't the greatest of childhoods. So I was always interested in, how people think basically. So I was really interested in anthropology and religions and philosophies, and then I became interested in law, thinking that that was possibly the way to go. And I studied lots of ancient laws and how laws came about, and then I ended up studying political systems and all the political systems all the way back through to Babylon, basically. And then from there, I decided that I would study human security, because I thought, well, there's something going on here that I'm missing, or there's some links here that I need to get down to, which led me into human rights, which led me into obviously the UN, the conventions at the UN, and then I become a specialist in international law and international security in regards to intervention into states. So that was a really long, drawn out process for me. I actually, after my master's degree, I went back because I hadn't completed my law degree at that stage. I went back to another university and continued on my law studies, which then I got into international trade. Then I became a youth advisor or a counselor to the US Embassy, and I was invited to work with them in different places. And so this is where the Fulbright Hayes Awards came in. And during that year, I was also offered the Prime Minister's Award for international trade to negotiate the Chinese Free Trade Agreement with New Zealand and China. And yeah, so that's just one part of my life. And it's a very big part of my life, and I still think about doing it, even extending that and going through to a PhD at that level. But we have had so much conflict and so many changes in international and national law since the beginning of COVID that right now I'm sort of in that state of mind, well, it all needs to change because it has changed so much. So I just need to get my head around about, where are we in international security and international law right now? And how is this all going to affect all nation states in terms of what I did as a master's degree and what I'd studied for 10 years?
Wow, I didn't know that about that. I know you were an artist. You had 2 galleries. Your stuff you're working on, and I didn't realize that you were so much involved in that. And was this something you always wanted to do when you were a child? Was this something you thought of, or were you just an artist when the young Anna?
Oh gosh, the young Anna. Yeah, the young Anna was very curious about the world, and I was always just looking at people and wondering why people did what they did. And I couldn't understand. I was brought up in a very religious family. It was a Christian sort of Orthodox family, but we moved around to different churches. And I always found that I wasn't really fitting in properly because I couldn't understand why people would do things during the week and then they would go to church on Sunday, and then all of a sudden they were these different people. And so I was always trying to figure out the psychology of people, basically. So, yeah, that sort of young Anna looked out into the world and said, something's not quite right here. And what is it making these people tick? So my academic education came quite a bit further along. So maybe I should switch back to the younger version. I left school quite early. And I went off and started an art gallery. I was the youngest art gallery owner in New Zealand at the age of 18. And then I went on after that because it wasn't that profitable at that time. And I think, there was stock market crashes and whatnot. And I decided there was an opening there for telecommunications. So I started a telemarketing company called Judson and Clark Associates, which led me into running all of Australasia and New Zealand, being the largest telemarketing company in both New Zealand and Australia, which I worked with a, a a lot of really big companies, including like AMP Insurance and maybe some of these names you don't know, Contours and just lots of really big companies. And I started designing all of their marketing plans, including Sky TV, New Zealand and Australia. And we did all these marketing plans for them, which were very, very successful. After that, I moved into, that's when I started moving into, I wanted to go into an education. So that's where I skipped into the education part. after the education, I decided, you know what, this is all a bit too much, to be completely honest. There's a lot of information here. I have to disseminate this information now my own way. I found out a lot of things while I was studying the UN that I didn't like. I found out that a lot of all the human rights could be derogated in terms of um, a state of emergency. I stood up and said that at university. People didn't agree with me. And of course, look what happened in 2019. Everything that I predicted came true. But after university, I decided I needed some me time because I felt very much that I had been very globally focused on the world and how to fix all the world's problems. And it had created a lot of pain for me because I felt like there was just too many problems in the world to fix, and how was this going to be fixed in terms of like all the different cultures and religions that are opposing, and how many different ideas and ideologies that people and institutions and companies have, and how are we going to approach this in terms of, let's just say it out loud, an international world order, which is what I could see was happening and taking place, and where the world was heading towards. So I think I needed some time out, and that's when I decided to go back into the arts. I went back and I studied ceramics, which I had always been interested in. Then I did that full time and basically became a master within about 5 years. I was running 4 kilns a week. I was exhibiting throughout New Zealand. I think I did over 30 exhibitions in 2 years. In the last 2 years, then I decided that I would open up another art gallery, which I did, which still runs now, which is called Waihi Beach Gallery. I kept on painting beautiful paintings on my pots, and the pots, pots and ceramics don't sell, for a lot of money. And I was spending far too much time um, doing these intricate drawings all over my pots. So I decided to change that to canvas, and then transferred that over a couple of years, and then that became my full time art. From there, I started to um, go into solo exhibitions, into museums, first in art galleries, and then into museums in New Zealand. Um, and then I decided that I would travel overseas. I really wanted to go to Italy in particular. I had always had a passion for Italy, so I decided that I'd go there. I ended up in Lucca as the place where I wanted to be. And then I met a number of different people that wanted to represent me in Europe. And it was actually quite overwhelming how many people in Europe liked my art, and how they wanted me to exhibit in different places. So I traveled with that and decided I would go with that for a while. Then I got an inclination that something was going on in the world and had to leave. 1 month after that, I decided to travel back to Sicily because I got an opportunity there to work for Danny Wise Fashion House. And I decided I'd take that up for his museum in France. Went back there, did all the portraitures for him, and then COVID hit, and I returned back to New Zealand.
No, I'm actually I'm sharing your content. So you haven't been back since the lockdown, because I think New Zealand, wasn't it really tough during the lockdown? They were pretty firm about people coming in and out of the country.
Yeah, well, I came back and I had been working, like, even though I'd been working in Europe, the time that I was spending in New Zealand, I was also preparing for another major exhibition at Waikato Museum. And we'd set up all sorts of marketing and advertising. I had photographers there, and it was supposed to be an absolutely massive opening, etc. But that was the night that Jacinda Ardern decided that the country would close down. So that was a huge disappointment for me because nobody would actually come out and see the exhibition. So that was sort of the start of it. Then we had this really strong lockdown that just felt like we were completely isolated for a really long time. And then things started to slowly open up, and sort of we had a little bit more normalization, but we had a couple of periods there where it would close down again and then open up again, and it was quite frustrating. Um, but the and the art industry had definitely suffered from that in New Zealand, which is why I started to get into Web3 in 2019 when this all was taking place, because it was natural to start going into Clubhouse when Clubhouse started, and then moving through that into Twitter Spaces. So I was on that rise with everybody doing NFTs, as you were, Tonya, and just sort of just trying to learn the space, because it was a whirlwind for sure. I was in all the rooms where everybody was starting. You know, the board apes. I was there before they launched. You know, I was in those OG rooms, pretty much all of them, as they were launching and supporting all of those groups. But I didn't know exactly where I fit into that. And then, just as I was thinking about launching my own set of NFTs and doing my own thing, I was then contacted by a group called Cicada 3301, which is a company in California. And then they asked me, their artist had died a few years ago and they'd been looking for a really long time. And so we had lots of conversations, and I eventually agreed to do art for them. That then led me into working with Akon and Akon's coin to build his city in Africa. And I've worked then since um, on, I can't say all the people that I have worked with, but we ended up doing some work with the Knights of Malta, um, and many different people throughout the world that I've been working with. And like I said, I can't mention them all. And a lot of these things are up and coming, including games and apps and all sorts of things. So, it, yeah. And then in between all of that, as Tonya knows, a friend of ours called Alberto, I ended up spending a lot of time in his rooms as well, learning about um, just the instability of like blockchains and NFTs and things like that, and then had to learn even more so how to protect myself and how to protect everybody else in the industry. And I think where we are at right now in terms of Web3 is moving into, okay, there's still, we've gone back to this, there still needs to be something fungible. So a lot of companies are now trying to say, well, okay, then let's add like a bottle of wine, or let's add, music, or let's add actual pieces of art, or actual exhibitions, or clothing, or etc. And so that's tying that all back in at the moment, which is making people who weren't so sure to invest in the NFT world a lot more secure. um, and in terms of what I'm doing in the NFT blockchain world at the moment, we're working on a gaming solution for a worldwide game in regards to Cicada, which has been going on for a very long time. We currently have over 300 pieces buried in the ground all over the world, and that will be tied into the next game.
I didn't realize how busy you were. I was like, I just see you like looking at all your stuff, and just looking at some of the project and just hearing what you're saying. Yeah, I know you were doing something with Alberto, and cybersecurity is such a big conversation for us. So can you tell us a little bit more about that project too? I know you were doing something really interesting about that with Alberto.
We haven't like finished, any of the concepts that we were. It's an ongoing project, basically. Yeah. yeah, cybersecurity is just as complicated as international security in so many ways, and maybe even more so because you have so many different factors, and the fact that we've got so many different people building new ways of integrating everything in the new technology that's coming online. There seems to be a lot of holes in the old technology, and people are trying to bridge those gaps at the moment to try and fix those things. But it's definitely ongoing, and I'm looking forward to seeing some major solutions to make this new Web3 world a lot safer than what it currently is.
I mean, like every day, I feel like it's a game for me now. Every day I wake up, I look at who got ganked or something. Like we get the Yuga Lab, which is the Bored Apes themselves, just got like what $300,000 taken. They got hacked or something, and I mean, with all that amount of money, with a lot of these projects have created, I mean, it costs a lot just to own one. But the cybersecurity is not the number one topic that they're focusing on. I mean, that was something Alberto and I used to talk about, was even OpenSea. I mean, even the CEO got in trouble. I mean, there's so much needed there. I mean, I think, and also, we have to really think about cybersecurity changes every single second of the day. What are your thoughts on that, Anna?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Tonya. I was just taking a breath there for a minute. It changes every single second, and the way that technology is just exploding through, I mean, like in science, and just just the way that we're moving towards quantum computers, the way that science is moving so fast. Everything is changing at such a fast speed that it's just so hard to keep up. But you're right. Cybersecurity should definitely be at the height of the NFT world right now. I mean, I understand how many people want to keep away the negativity away from the NFT industry, but I mean, it's just something that we've all had to go through. I myself had fallen for scams. I myself had issues with OpenSea, where I actually have an account still on there open that is mine, but I cannot access. Um, there is lots of things that have happened. I lost what was it, about $2,000 in one day through buying something, through clicking on the wrong link through my Instagram.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, and like I was well informed. Like, I was sitting in cybersecurity rooms every single day. Um, and I had NFTs stolen at my MetaMask. So I've been a victim of that sort of hacking world as well. But I mean, once again, the blockchain is not safe. The banking systems are not safe. It nowhere is really safe in terms of technology. And these are all the things that need fixing. And slowly but surely, lots of different organizations and companies are coming on board trying to fill those holes, like I was saying. But right now, we should definitely be focusing more on cybersecurity in the NFT realm for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing that a lot of companies don't think about, but they should, especially the new platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, um, I mean, it's well known that where there's a gap, somebody will find it. Whether that's, some kid that's like 10 years of age learning how to code, or it's somebody who's, a whole group in like Russia or another area that's, organized and very specific targeting. These things are happening every single day. And I mean, that ties into international security as well. I mean, our governments are fighting these things every single day as well. We live in this constant chaos. everywhere. We don't like to admit it, but we are actually living in this very fragile world where everything is like exposed to, these people that are taking advantage of a gap, um, as entrepreneurs do, as companies do in the market. And this is not really going to stop. I don't know if we're ever going to have systems in place in terms of our technology that is going to be unbreakable. I would probably say no, because like everybody that designs new technology, they always end up having back doors, and then those back doors then get given to like other system architects and other people in all the different industries, and then those exposures keep on happening. So, um, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the future.
I think we all are. So, Emily, I finally got you back up here. I saw you lost connection.
I did. I froze and got kicked out. But I've been listening in, and I mean, everything that you're doing is so fascinating. One of the questions that I have, because I haven't had a chance, I've saw a lot of your floral works and things like that on the art side, but I also saw you. I mean, it goes far beyond that. It's just kind of what I was seeing at the top of your Facebook and such. Does your work does your work all cross over? So, for instance, is your art influenced by the world peace work you've done or the cybersecurity work? Like, how does that all work together in tangent? Or does it not?
Well, one of the first things that my mother remembers me doing all the time was drawing flowers. Um, so I always had a fascination with flowers. So it was always something that I was going to draw, and flowers actually always made me feel really peaceful. So, like when I smelt a flower as a child, or walked through a flower garden, or I just always felt really peaceful, and my childhood had not been peaceful at all. I'll talk a little bit about it. I was brought up in a very abusive household, so there was a lot of um, violence and that happening in my household. So I was one of those children that were always trying to find peace in the world, and flowers was definitely that. So in terms of my florals, it's that view of seeing a flower for what it is, but then also seeing beyond that means something else that is deeper inside of you that gives you this peace. moving into the quantum state, but not quite there, where everything is blurry, which is a state which is in between, which is that I'm moving through this world into the next, but you still can't quite see everything. It's like things are merging together and folding in on each other, and it's almost like color and patterns and fractals, which is that's what I see, because I also have quantum synesthesia. So it's just like another level of consciousness. Um, then some of those go even further, where I feel like it's like beyond time of consciousness, where time is like non-existent, where we are actually um like I always say, that I'm living backwards forwards. So I feel like sometimes I know what's going to happen in the future, but I feel like I'm living it backwards or something. So I try to then let myself go in some of these other works and completely just delete myself, basically, completely gone. And then I'll paint really frenetically, really fast. Um, and I don't know what I'm doing. So instead of like scribing, what they did in the old days in scribes, where people would scribe on papers and things and tablets and all the rest of it, I do this to the canvas and see what happens. Um, and that moved into moving through um, almost like 100 worlds at a time, on overlaying each other, where I open up, where I put all of these doors and spaces and metaverses and fractals and places and people, and it's like everything, the whole universe, like thrown onto this canvas, where you kind of have to figure out, well, how would one get from here to there, and what do these doors mean, and what do these calculations mean, and how do you expand this consciousness from looking at the flower to then moving into this other space that that it exists, and yet it's still not the whole picture. So I'm going to take this back in again, because what I'm actually trying to achieve, I've never been able to achieve with paint, which is the true consciousness of like what I see with my quantum synesthesia, which is pretty much pure space. And if you look at pure space, you're going to end up with like a black canvas. So you can't really project that unless you're going to do like a black canvas with like dots all over it. And I noticed that I was starting to work with that, and I was starting to realize that my work was actually very similar to Aborigine work in some of my latest works, because I was trying to get that to that point of consciousness that they so deeply understand, with the Australian Aboriginal paintings, that the all of us are connected, and that there is nothing in between, and that's why they're always painting dots. Um, yeah.
I love that you explained that, because I didn't quite understood that, but that's great. I didn't realize that. That's fantastic, Emily. The mic is yours. I'm just like,
No, well, I find synesthesia in general pretty fascinating, but I'm sorry, I forgot the word you used before, synesthesia, but you have like a specific type, or is there something that's different um, than like when people are seeing, let's say, letters or colors, or that goes along with music or words or tastes or things like that? What is your experience? Because I'm not sure I quite understand about like the black
Yeah,
canvas.
sure. Yeah, sure. Okay, Emily. So there is a number of different synesthesias. You can look them up. A lot of them synesthesias have to do with hearing music, colors, which I also have. The numbers, tasting numbers, tasting words, all sorts of different types of synesthesias. And what happened is that one of the things that I did in the first year on Clubhouse is that I was hanging out with a lot of guys from NASA and JPL. I spending like half my day, if not 16 hours a day, with all of these engineers and guys that were into physics and talking about worlds beyond now, and sort of like science fiction, as well as mixing it into where we're going today in terms of Mars and space travel and things like that. And I was just talking away, and um, this guy who is quite well known, but he said to me, he said, "Do you know?" He says, "Have you got quantum synesthesia?" And I was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And he says, "I think you should go and look it up." And then so I went and looked it up, and I could only find one case of it. And the case was actually done in a science lab, and I could not find out the person's name or anything. So there's only one case that's actually documented with quantum synesthesia. So now I'll explain to you why he thought that, and how I know that that is correct. Um, some of the other rooms that I used to spend on Clubhouse was with people that studied quasi quantum levels of science. And when they talked about things, I was able to explain them by visually. So they became quite interested in how I was explaining what is not technically science, it's really theory. Um, but I was able to explain to them in a way that I visualize the quantum. So I see what they're talking about. So they're talking to me and they're trying to explain all of these technicalities, which I have not studied. Okay. So, um, and yet I'm visualizing them as they're discussing them to me, and then I'm able to explain them back and what that actually looks like. So that is quantum synesthesia.
Wow, that's really cool. Actually, I never. I'm trying to think. There's actually who is it? Jovian. He's the musician, NFT musician. He has that, but in music.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the senior partners, one of the originators of Cicada 3301, he is a composer and he is absolutely exceptional. And he definitely has that synesthesia in music, among a number of other synesthesias. And it's a beautiful thing when you can see somebody's brain working at that level, which is, for most of us, we can't understand it. And because I don't have the same synesthesias as other people, I have some but not all. um you know they can appreciate what I can do, and I can appreciate what they can do, and it really is a beautiful thing. It's something that is not usual. It's something that, and for a very long time, like Van Gogh, or when he was painting, like he would have had, color synesthesia, or like, he had neurodiversity that, at the time wouldn't have been appreciated, as so many neurodiverse people in this world haven't been appreciated and have been subjected to all sorts of psychological, and even to the point of being burned alive at the stake for being different. And I think what's really exciting about the world right now is that we're starting to realize that, all of these different things that people have is just all part of humanity, and that we need to like embrace all of those things, instead of like trying to put people into boxes, or rejecting them. So there's a book that I'm reading at the moment, actually, called The Premonitions Bureau, and I actually only started reading it yesterday, and I've just about finished it. But I was really surprised that people were being electrocuted for being gay, or for being transvestite, or dressing in women's clothes, or even because they were sleeping with the neighbor's wife. I mean, this is in the 1960s. I was absolutely horrified when I'm reading this. I'm like, oh my goodness, what are we doing to the people today that we don't think are in that like acceptable behavior of the zeitgeist of today? What are we doing to them, and who are those people? So that particular book is by Sam Knight, and it's a 2022 one called The Premonitions Bureau. um, but yeah, it's really giving me lots of thoughts about how we need to really accept people, the way that they are. And neurodiversity is definitely quite it's starting to become quite popular in the newspapers and things at the moment, so people are actually taking a look at that and going, okay, we've got a lot of different people in the world, we have to learn from all of them.
I think that's one of the exciting thing about what we're going through today as far as the internet with the Web3 and it also the ability to create accessibility for everybody actually. I think by law we have to like with my website and all this stuff, I have to make sure I have accessibility. So I feel like with that, with all the tech and all the information with the now we talk about the blockchain and we talk about Web3 and everyone's going into it. Should we be excited, Anna? I mean, you were very much into it, but what are your thoughts about that as far as our life is so into digital? Do you spend time away from it also, or are you very into it?
Well, I think I've become better. Like I said, I've almost read a book in 2 days. So, so I must be getting better. Otherwise, I'd normally be, on there doing something. Hope for the future. I mean, of course, we all want hope for the future. Will technology be be the god of everyone? Possibly. um where are we going with this? Well, I mean, like Elon says, we were heading straight into it. We certainly haven't stopped, we certainly haven't pulled back. um we're using artificial intelligence systems everywhere, and building our own systems. I don't want to get into this too much because it really is into international security again. um but we've got some things to fix. We've got some things to fix in the world in terms of compatibility, which is what I'm going back to me spending 10 years at university, just saying, look, we've got religions that are not compatible. Okay, we've got cultures that are not compatible, ideologies, philosophies, experiences where we're not the same color, we're not the same gender, we're not the same this, that, and the other thing. But there has to be a point where we have to accept everybody as they are, and like unless we can actually do that, then we cannot move forward. And in terms of international security, they're actually at this conjunction right now where they know that like their individual systems are not actually compatible, and they're all building individual AI quantum computer systems that are in the philosophies, the cultures, the religions, the ways that they believe are right. And what we're actually building is systems that are opposite to each other. I talked about this a few weeks ago with some people, and basically, one way to explain this is in terms of like hospital systems. So, if you are in, I don't know, let's say France, for example, I don't know exactly all of their systems, but in America, France, and China, those particular systems on whether you live, whether you die, are completely different. Those checkoff systems are in extremes to each other. They the health systems are an extreme to each other in terms of whether you actually get hospitalization, whether you get an operation, and even just in simple terms of such a simple structure, that is still in opposition with another AI system which has been built currently that will not be able to be integrated together. So therefore, you've already like basically blown up a bridge. So there's an area that cannot be joined because like we do not all agree on the same things. And while we continue to build these systems with our own ideologies, our own philosophies, our own religions, our own cultures, we're not actually bridging us together in a way that is beneficial to the human race. And yes, it is beneficial in terms of like our isolated geopolitical systems. But then, like, what are we creating here? We're creating a system which is against each other, that's not actually um, helping each other. Because when it comes down to it, it is the human that is important. The human. That's what the whole world is. It's about the human. So we don't want to be having systems built, quantum systems, AI systems, blue brain systems, all of these different systems built that are going to create their own wars because of the input we have put into them is not compatible with the other 7.
And it's true when it comes to AI, it's the people, it's like having a child. You have to train it and teach it and spend time with it and learn. It's not like something you just, turn on and then it does. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that. So we have about 7 minutes, and I'm so sorry about that was the weirdest cut off actually when we all got kicked out of here. Does anyone in the space, we had a lot of people in the space earlier. I feel so bad that we got kicked off, but does anyone in the space have any question for Ana? I've learned so much about you, Ana, even though I literally talk to you almost every day. It's almost seizure. And I didn't know all this stuff about you.
Yeah, so I mean, Emily and Terry, if you want to ask me a question on anything that I've talked about, obviously, I'm a prolific reader. I
I
study,
two books.
yeah, I study intensely. I'm a creative, so I have one of those minds where I sort of like just want to delve into everything. I'm a global thinker, so I tend to pull everything together to see it as one big picture rather than isolate all the parts. Yeah.
And can you mention your 2 books that you wrote?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the first book that I wrote was actually called Illustrations of Truth. Both of these books are not under my Ana Couper name. The first one was under my marriage name, which was my birth name, which was Anne Marie, and then my marriage name, which was Graham. And it was Illustrations of Truth was a poetry book that I'd spent a year on this peninsula with my, how old were they? There were 3, my 3-year-old twins. Oh, sorry, Terry, you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead.
Okay. And I just, I because I had so much time on my hands, I started talking to these yogis and doctors in India, and I become very interested in enlightenment and consciousness and different perspectives of the East. This is before I went back to my before I went back into religious studies. So I decided to do some scribing, which is what I was talking about before that I do on a canvas. But in this particular book, I scribed the book in poetry. So that was my first book. My second book was International Intervention in regards to the UN. So it was an academic book, which was based on my master's thesis. And that was out underneath my father's name and my first original birth name, which is Anne Marie Judson. So you can find that under that R2P in international law.
Ana, this is Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Hi, I just want to make sure we're all still connected. What book are you currently reading?
Yeah, so that book that I was just talking about before, The Premonitions Bureau, written by Sam Knight, 2022. I picked up the book and realized, hey, like there's all these people in the world that are actually predicting and are precognitive, and this has been going on for a really, really long time. So I'm really fascinated with that subject because I actually know quite a few precog people. So that's the book that I'm reading.
Awesome. I love to read as well. That's why I asked you that. Thank you.
So it's about 3 minutes. I wanted to go ahead and be mindful, and I'm so sorry about again, another apologies for that was the strangest cut off, disconnected I've ever experienced being on Twitter Spaces. We were all talking, was great, and all of a sudden, boom, I didn't even realize we were kicked out. We were still streaming, but I want to say thank you, Anna, for being here. I know it's so early in the morning. I really appreciate you for doing this, and I wanted to, I'll feature you because you're such a powerhouse, and I feel like not too many people know much about, like, we see you there. You're a community leader. You're very much into NFT. You help so many different people, and like talk about all different things. And so anyone that has the opportunity to listen to Anna speak in any of the spaces, she's very knowledgeable and always helping and also connecting people. And so when I say she's a community leader, she is a community leader. Literally, she, like, if she can't help you, she'll find someone to help you. And we're thrilled for you to be our communicator of the week. And again, everything is live stream. I'll be editing everything, but it's on our website, awcsouthflorida.org. And before we let you go, Anna, tell our listeners how to get a hold of you.
Okay, so you can get hold of me on Twitter. My DMs are open. You can also follow me on Instagram. I am on LinkedIn, and also Facebook, but my preferred is definitely Twitter.
And again, everyone, have a great day. And we're gonna be planning some really fun events in real life, IRL as they call it. And also we're launching our membership drive. This is our membership drive for South Florida, and the national has theirs twice a year also. So, but we're gonna do ours for the last 2 weeks of June, and then we'll do another one the first 3 weeks of July. So we'll be in membership drive for 5 weeks, and we'll be sharing some of the all the different snippets of all the different Empower Yourself Monday guests. Again, Anna is our 22nd guest. And this because we're on episode 22. We'll be doing episode 23 next week. And again, everyone, thank you so much. If you want more information about our national chapter, which was founded in 1909, you can go to womcom.org. And if you want more information about us, we're at AWC South Florida, spelled out SOUTHFLORIDA.org. And you can listen to the replay of this episode. Literally, Anna is on the front page of our website. But again, everyone, we'll be back next week at 10 a.m. And if you have a communicator or an outstanding woman in your life that you would like to celebrate and let us know about her, please DM us or email us at info@awcsouthflorida.org. And again, everyone, have a great Monday and make it productive, and appreciate Anna for being here, sharing all her wonderful stories and incredible stories and all her accomplishment. And we want to celebrate her. And thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Terry. Thank you so much, Tonya, and everybody else that has been with us today. It's been a fantastic room, and I look forward to meeting with you all again soon.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.